Are you staring at a couple thousand or maybe even a couple thousand Amex membership rewards points and trying to figure out how you can convert them to cash? Well, this is a video for you. Hi, friends. I'm Philip and with Points of Philip, and we're going to talk about ways that you can cash out your American Express points. And so, first of all, of course, we have to start with a disclaimer that maybe you really shouldn't, because even at topping out at 1.1 cents per point with the Charles Schwab card, you are not getting as much value as you could with some other ways, right? So you could actually transfer your points out and you can get 5, 6, 7, 8, even possibly 12 cents per point by transferring those points out to partners for very targeted bookings with award space. And so you could fly first class, you could fly business class, you can even fly premium economy, and your cost would be very minimal once you use those points. However, I do realize that sometimes we need to use these points for real world purchases, right? So, for example, my business is coming off on YouTube, and so I actually decided to cash out some American Express points, well, to buy this microphone right here, and I kind of like it so far. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. So I had to start looking into the best ways to redeem my American Express membership reward points for cash. And what I discovered was, well, it's a very complicated subject, at least when you're trying to get maximum value. So if you just have a regular Amex card, a credit card, let's say you just have the gold card or the blue business plus, or even just a platinum card, you have your points. But if you go to actually cash them out as a statement credit to pay off particular charges, you'll see that they're only worth zero point 0.6 cents per point, which means that if you have 10,000 points that you redeem for cash, you get $60, right? So 10,000 points, $60. Now, if it was 1 cent per point, you would get $100 for that 10,000 points. So now this is just the standard rate. And it's very, very poor. In fact, it's actually one of the worst ways to use your American Express membership rewards points because, well, if you use it for shopping with Amazon or some other things, you can possibly get 0.7 cents or 0.8 cents per point. And so if you're tracking that value, and I encourage you to do so because being smart about it can be helpful, then that can be, really something you need to watch out for. So we have 0.6 cents per point, but if we want to cash out, can we do it? So other banks like Chase allow us to cash out our ultimate reward points with Chase for 1 cent per point with any card. In fact, you don't actually need a Sapphire card in order to be able to cash out your points, although you do need a Sapphire card in order to be able to transfer those points out to those transfer partners. Citi is kind of the same way. They've recently overhauled how they do their cash out, but if you have a custom cash or a double cash, those thank you points can be 1 cent per point. However, if you have a Citi Strata Premier card, those points earned with that card can only be redeemed for a little bit less than that. I think it's either zero point 0.6 or 0.7 cents per point. So what gives? American Express appears to be one of the least forgiving as far as earning points and converting it to cash. And that's why one of the reasons why people say if you are looking for a cashback setup, American Express may not be what you're looking for. However, there is a way around that, and we're going to get into that. So in order to actually get more value, we have to have a couple different things. So we're going to have certain checking accounts with American Express. So if you have a personal card and you have a personal checking account with American Express, that gives you a debit card that earns 1 point for every $2 in spend. And then you also get some other goodies. Now, it does have Zelle, which is really good. So that's actually better than Discover's product, which kind of restricts Zelle access. But it has some other kind of workarounds that aren't as good. But what this does get you is if you have the personal checking account and a personal business or a personal card from American Express, you can actually convert your membership reward points into a deposit into your personal checking account for 0.8 cents per point. So significantly higher than 0.6 cents per point, but still not as high as it could be. However, if you only have, say, a personal checking account and a personal credit card, you can at least get 0.8 cents per point, and that could at least help you, right? Because that same 10,000 points is now worth $80 in cash instead of $60. And so if you're someone who's definitely not going to be able to use your points in a timely manner, this could help. But the really great news is that we can do so much better. if you have the business checking account from American Express, and this one actually comes with a sign-up bonus, which is really rare for American Express, and so actually, if you sign up for this account, you just hold a couple, some money in that account. I think it's for 60 days, and once you do that and do a couple of other different qualifying transactions, you get 30,000 points, which can be $300 in cash if we take a look at it, or it can be worth a lot more, like almost an upper class seat in Virgin Atlantic to Europe, right? So if we get the business checking account with that sign up bonus, which I encourage you to do, then you can also boost your earnings by getting something else. And so if you have the business platinum card and the business checking account, you can combine those together, and then you can get 1 cent per point on your American Express membership reward points. And so this 1 cent per point is kind of the baseline for Chase and a lot of other people. But these points can then be direct cash 1-to-1 in your business checking account. And so from there, you can actually transfer it to maybe your quarterback account. That's what's the term I have for my main checking account that I actually use to pay my credit cards and my other bills. And so you can actually just convert it as long as you do a push transfer. It usually comes through the next day, or the next business day, rather, I should say. So that's really nice. And so that is pretty much like we're at baseline. Now, we do have to have a couple different things. For example, the business platinum card. And well, that could be helpful for some people and it could be less helpful for others, right? So let's say that you're not really able to use the Adobe credits or, any of the other credits that are on the business platinum card, like Dell or the wireless service provider credit, something like that. What can you do? All right, well, you can actually get, so as long as you have essentially a Charles Schwab investor platinum card, right? So you have to have the Charles Schwab version of the platinum card, and this is the personal version, so it gives you all the fun goodies like the Uber cash credit, it gives you the streaming credit, the FHR credit, the whole 9 yards. This one allows you to transfer your points at 1.1 cents per point up to 1,000,000 points per calendar year into a brokerage account with Schwab. And so this can be a brokerage account, it could be a 529 account, it could be an IRA, but it also could just be a cash management account, which you could convert it to your brokerage account and then convert it to a cash management account with Schwab and then send it to, any checking account that you want. And so now, this is actually really good because 1.1 cents per point means that value is essentially a lot better than straight cash. So if you have 1.1, then you have the American Express Gold Card. If you use that for food, then you're actually getting 4.4% cash back if you have the Charles Schwab Platinum Card. Now, of course, to be fair, it's only for the first 1,000,000 points, which honestly is a lot of money, right? So 100,000 points at a 1-to-1 cash rate would equate to, $1,000, and so that's essentially saying over $10,000 worth of points that you could get with your Charles Schwab card. And so if you're someone who's able to kind of earn these points at a meaningful capacity, being able to cash them out can really significantly help you if you have some unexpected expenses, right? So this becomes an actual asset that you have, whereas perhaps if you only have, say, the personal platinum card and no checking accounts or anything like that, then you're only earning 0.6 cents per point. And so you go from having $100 with 10,000 points to having $60 for 10,000 points. And so there's really a strong difference here. Now, I do want to compare this a little bit to Capital One. So what Capital One's system is that you have essentially two different types of currencies that you can earn. So you have cashback rewards with Capital One and you have venture miles. And so these two things you can move from one to the other. So if you earn something, say, with a Quicksilver card or a Saver card, that is cashback rewards, but you can actually redeem them for 1 cent of cashback rewards to 1 venture mile to your venture card. However, once you make that transition, if you were to do a statement credit with that venture card or the Venture X card or even the Venture One, you would only be getting about 6.6 cents per point on that. And so Capital One, once you're in venture miles, there really isn't a good way to cash them out, but you at least have to be deliberate about kind of transferring everything there. And so each bank has really different cash out policies, but American Express is interesting in that it will reward you a lot more for actually using more of their services. And so, if you're someone who's kind of curious about what a business checking account or business card might mean for them, I would definitely recommend if you have, if you have like a 1099 job or something that you're doing. So, like last year when I first got my business checking account, I was doing consulting work for an AI training company. And so I was being paid 1099. And so I basically just said that I had my own company and I put my 1099 income in, and I was given my American Express business checking account. And I used that to put all my payments from that company into this checking account. And then I would go from there to wherever I wanted that money to go. And so it is pretty wide open. If you have a legitimate business, it's a little bit easier to fill out that paperwork, but you can get it done with just your social and your 1099 income as long as you're calling yourself a sole proprietor. So, I definitely want to make sure that I'm encouraging everyone to stay within the realm of being, inside the terms and conditions, and that this is kind of for business purposes. But more people have a business than realize it. And so that's important to consider. Now, what I did was I signed up for the business checking account first, but then what I also found was that I was very highly targeted for a lot of these other business things. And so I actually had an offer for the Blue Business Plus card, and then I ended up getting the Business Gold card, and then finally the Business Platinum, and that's how I was able to cash out my points. And so, being able to have that flexibility is really great. Like, for example, my key light that I'm using right here, that was paid for at least halfway with points. So it was on sale for about 30% off. And then I paid about half of it with points and half of it with funds that I had laying around. And so I was able to put it towards good use and invest it in my business, this YouTube channel. So, but yeah, so there are different ways to get value from these Amex points. And so hopefully you kind of realize that there's a sliding scale, but if you just have just a regular card and just a regular American Express personal checking account, you can get at least 0.8 cents per point. And so that can be a little bit better than just having just one card. So just opening up one account can really greatly, significantly improve your ability to actually make money. So, or, cash out with these points. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. And well, I can't wait to see you guys until next time. Bye.